why my beard is so luscious.
I thought that was because you were growing it out for charity.
Yes.
Let's move on because it's already been 20 minutes for a 10-minute topic.
Yeah. So that is the inattentive.
Not for the magic of editing.
So I will go ahead and turn this over to whoever wants to talk about hyperactivity.
I believe Spaz was going to talk about hyperactivity and impulsivity, right?
But first, a word from our sponsor.
Do your friends suffer from imposter syndrome? Maybe a little RSD hits them like a train sometimes? Well, do we have a product for you? Introducing the Love Bat by Squirrel Co. Whenever those thoughts of not being good enough creep in on them, just grab your Love Bat and beat the love into them. Our patented design drills the love in like nothing else. But don't take it from me. Here are some real people who have tested our Love Bats for us.
I was talking to my wife about what a failure I was and how I was never going to get ahead at work or life or anything. And the next thing I know, BAM! She waffles me. All of a sudden, I felt at peace and happy about who I was. Thanks, Love Bat.
Call today and you can get your Love Bat for the small equal payments of your friend's sanity. But wait, there's more. If you call in the next 5 minutes, we will include a second and third Love Bat at no extra charge. Now you can get your friends to join in with you in the love beatings. Love Bat by Squirrel Co., a division of ADHD Incorporated.
Even though I don't present this as prominently as I used to, hyperactivity and impulsivity. Of course, you would need 6 or more of the following that have persisted for at least 6 months to a degree that is inconsistent with developmental level and that negatively impacts directly on social and academic/occupational activities.
So I want to chime in here really quick.
Please do.
A lot of the time I hear people state criteria specifically saying you have to present this since childhood.
No.
And that is not what the DSM says. So if your people are telling you have to present this since childhood, they are not following the DSM criteria.
Well, this is said in the notes underneath both subsections, and we kind of did skip over it. So I'm going to read this note real quick. It says, notes, the symptoms are not solely a manifestation of oppositional behavior, defiance, hostility, or a failure to understand a task or instructions. For older adolescents and adults, age 17 and older, at least 5 symptoms are required. So what this is saying, per the DSM, is that an adult can still be diagnosed with ADHD, and they actually only have to meet 5, not 6. Of the criteria in order to do this. And this is very common when we take a look at diagnoses across not only mental health, but physical health as well. For example, my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, there is a section where we go over things like hypermobility, and I have to be able to do this, and I get 1 point for each arm, which is me touching my thumb to my wrist. I have to be able to pull my pinky back to a 90-degree angle on both hands. I get 1 point for each of those. I get 1 point for mobility in my elbows. Hyperextension. There you go. I get a point for hyperextension in my elbow, each one. The same with my knees.
The fuck out.
No, not creep the fuck out. I feel like I'm being attacked.
Oh.
There's also a point that you get if you can put both hands flat on the floor with your knees straight. So if you can bend over and put both your hands on the floor. And you get points for this. Now, Patrick, do not be alarmed. A lot of people who don't have EDS have the ability to do some of that stuff.
For the record, for those at home,
yes,
Patrick is sitting over there squirming like a fucking worm on a hook because he's being so called out right now.
Yes,
Lee is enjoying every second of this too.
Yeah, I can see it.
So what I was saying was that with EDS, when we go to get diagnosed with this, we have to meet, if you are a child, I think you have to meet 8 out of the 9 criteria. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. But as an adult, you only have to meet like 6 or 7 of them. Don't quote me. I don't remember exactly what was on that sheet. The point being that when I got diagnosed for EDS, my diagnostic criteria was less than somebody who was an adolescent, and an adolescent has less than a person who is a child, and somebody who is older than me, a elder, will have less than I do. And this is very common throughout medicine. It's not always the case, but in many conditions, somebody who is an adult tends to have to present with less symptoms.
Yeah, whereas And speaking of which, it is stated here in the DSM-5 that several inattentive or hyperactive impulsive symptoms had to be present before the age of 12. Not that you had to have all of them.
And it's not a particular one. It's not, you have to have 1-5 or you have to have 1G in order to be diagnosed with ADHD. It is any of those symptoms as long as you meet certain criteria.
Yeah. Speaking of those symptoms.
Yes, I'm sorry. Let's move on.
That's okay. Often fidgets with or taps hands or feet or squirms in seat, says the guy whose knee is bouncing under his desk.
My toes are wiggling at the moment.
How often do you see me doing this in this podcast?
I know, right?
Right?
I got called out for that in a video one time. They're like, oh, I can't tell you have ADHD. Why is that? Because I'm sitting with my phone, rotating back and forth.
Yeah. And everybody who knows me watches my lip ring now and sees how much I play with my lip ring.
Or carrying on from last week, I'll sit here and I'll pull at my skin.
Fucking mutant.
Okay, so we've proved that one. Let's go. I don't want to be called out anymore on that one.
All
You
right.
still got 8 more to be called out on there.
That's right. This one does not really apply so much to me anymore. Often leaves seat in situations when remaining seated is expected. Examples are leaves his or her place in the classroom, in the office, the workplace. I guess I just lied because I remember when I had an office job, actually, I used to get up a lot. Okay, never mind. Moving on.
So this one actually kind of got beat out of me, and I'll be real with you. And Lee will probably agree with this a little bit. The military does not let you do that. So you learn to internalize your fidgeting and your wanting to get up, and you sit in place and you figure out something to do in place so that you don't get that attention drawn to you, because in certain situations you don't want your NCO watching you. And for those who don't know what an NCO is, it's a sergeant, right? You don't want that person watching you and seeing what you're doing and get you in trouble, because that usually results in push-ups.
So
It looks like story time from Lee.
when I had to stand in formation, it was always the rocking back and forth that would get me in trouble. That is my idle motion. So I learned how to stand there, and I would look at the name tape of the person in front of me, and I would rearrange their letters and see how many words I could come up with out of the letters in their name.
Ooh, that's a pretty good one.
That would have been nice, but I was so fucking tall, I was always up front. So,
All right,
but anyways.
continuing on.
Look at Spaz keeping us
often
on the
run-
highway. I'm so proud.
right?
I'm trying to. All right. Often runs about or climbs in situations where it is inappropriate. Note, in adolescents or adults, may be limited to feeling restless. Now, that's one that I relate to, as
That one
opposed
hurts.
as opposed to the climbing about.
Yeah, that one hurts. I feel restless all the time.
Well, we think toddlers, they get up and they run around when they want to. But at some point, we do have to conform to society. And we learn that, we can't get up and do this. And it may
Fuck you, I'm sticking
happen.
it to the man.
Get your ass back here. We ain't done with you yet.
Sorry. Had a minor ODD moment there, even though I've never been diagnosed with it.
But as we get older, we start to conform to the sitting down. Now, this may happen later on for children with ADHD, but as adults, we know better than to start climbing on the desks at work unless we work at Coyote Ugly, and that is literally our fucking job.
I mean, I hear it pays good, though.
I mean, I hear it pays good too, but we know better than to do that. So for us, we may still have that desire to that excess energy that we want to release by climbing or, running around, getting up and doing things that are inappropriate in the situation. And that leaves us with the feeling of restlessness.
So what you're saying is we've morphed to neurotypical society, and now we just internalize all of those feelings.
Don't quote me on that though, because I'm not 100% sure that that's actually what's happening.
It's
Well, whether it is or whether it isn't, thank you for the fucking attack.
because it's because we have conformed to what society expects out of us.
Oh,
and
I
not
don't disagree
doing what
with
we
that at
want.
all.
So
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's neurotypical society. It's society in general expects us
Yes.
to behave, not get up, not be hyperactive when we want to, which is what we're allowed to do as a child. And now we contain ourselves and we get we all sit there and feel like, not all of us, but I know for me, I sit there and feel restless and I want to bounce around. And that's why, like, when breaks happen and like in classes and stuff like that, I'm outside walking around everywhere because I don't want to sit there. Like, I hated when they're like, you have to smoke in a specific area because I do laps around it. I do laps around it because I need to be moving during that time to burn off all that energy, or I will not make it to the end of the day.
Not going to lie, part of the reason that I have maintained being a smoker for so long is because it does give me a viable opportunity to stand up and walk out and walk around. Yeah. I know it's a horrible excuse to still be smoking, but it is one of the reasons why I maintained smoking all through the military and when I went through school.
Okay. Now that we've all felt attacked by that one.
Yeah. Now that I'm going to pull the shrapnel out of my ass and move on. Often unable to play or engage in leisurely activities quietly.
I can read.
I can mostly do this.
I turn to somebody and I might start talking about it, but I can be quiet sometimes.
You get me gaming? Wow. Ultra competitive, ultra loud.
You know, I question whether you're RE level loud, but...
You haven't seen me gaming yet. When I'm competing, like when there's like a board game or something like that. Oh, so there's a game from the guys who made Cards Against Humanity, right? And it's all about bullshitting. My mouth never shuts up the entire game. I am always running my mouth, and I'm loud. I'm way loud. So
sorry, I'm trying to, find a comparison against you otherwise.
I have a comparison. Suck on these, goat boy.
I've heard Lee playing video games, especially one in the chamber.
Oh yeah. Okay, moving on. Is often on the go, acting as if driven by a motor. Example, is unable to be or uncomfortable being still for extended time, as in restaurants, meetings, may be experienced by others as being restless or difficult to keep up with.
I have never liked the wording of this. It has to do with the as if driven by a motor component on this. This one has always confused me a little bit because what is the difference between, I mean, I guess I could see it now that I think about it, but this is like may be experienced by others as being restless or difficult to keep up with. Where is that different? And then in may be limited to feeling restless. And I guess the difference is that the restlessness is observable.
So this one I would say is I've often I don't like it as well. I'm with you on that. But I've always seen it kind of presented in me when I'm given a task to be a manager of, and I have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I'm like, let's go, let's get this all done. Come on. Right. And I'm pushing my guys why are we sandbagging here? Why are we dragging this out? Let's go. And they have a hard time keeping up with me pushing them.
See, right? That makes, put in that context, that makes more sense than where my mind automatically wanted to go with it, which is more along the lines of adults in point C.
Well, and adding on to Patrick's point is when I was still managing bars and whatnot, before my knees went to garbage, one of the establishments that I was a manager of, it had a lounge, a nightclub, casino, and the hotel itself. In a 2-week period, I had to be the manager of all of those establishments on the night shift, 5 nights out of that 14 days. So I was constantly on the go as if driven by a motor, right? Yeah. And having people watch me and comment on it. Of course, now my knees all gone to shit. I can't even imagine it anymore. But going from the bar to the restaurant to the front desk to the casino and all at Mach 3, I could see it.
Yeah, in that context, it makes sense to me. If I was put in charge of a duty or something like that in the military, it was very much these are the things we need to do. Let's go. Hustle. Why is this not done yet? I have other shit I should be doing at the moment. Although we all know I'm going to procrastinate on actually doing the other shit that is driving me to get that particular task done.
Anyway, 2F, often talks excessively.
Not me. Ever. Never. I have never, not once in my life, talked excessively.
Hi, I'm Ian Fodump, head of research at ADHD Incorporated. I don't infodump at all. Nope.
Never met her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, we're gonna skip the fucking cliff notes on that one and just leave that one right there.
Yeah.
Because G is more fun. Often blurts out an answer before a question has been.
Knew that
I was
coming.
waiting for that.